Hi Scorpio, happy birthday and welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your November 2025 tarot reading. Thank you to those of you who have liked, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you new to the channel, as far as what we have in front of us, it's the Celtic Crossbird as always, and also pulled the Four Agreements and Wisdom of the Oracle card for you guys. We're actually going to start the reading off by rolling those astrology ice we have in front of us to get an idea of where your focus should be as far as that goes. Alright, we have Libra. So Libra is actually 12th house energy for you guys. At the time I'm recording this, we're just wrapping up Libra season. So we're about to have a new moon coming up in Libra on the 21st. And aside from that, we have Venus in Libra currently. It's going to be moving into your sign on the 6th. Other than that, nothing else really going on there. But yeah, 12th house in general points to spirituality, blind spots, and mental health. We have the North Node. The North Node is in Pisces, which is your 5th house of romance, creativity, and children. So you could definitely be experiencing some growth around that area of life. And 12. So yeah, once again, that points back to the Libra energy that we just spoke about. So you could definitely be experiencing some intense energy there. All right, so we'll keep that in mind as we go through the main spread. In the main situation position, we have the 5 of Cups, Scorpio energy, so there's you guys already. And then challenging that, we have the Emperor, Aries energy. So, I mean, this really represents the first 10 degrees of Scorpio, so you guys might be feeling this energy even before we physically get into the month of November. But if not that, could just be saying that maybe you guys recently went through a disappointment, and if that's the case, could have been around your work lives for some of you. Maybe there was something that you thought was going to go better and it ended up going in reality. For some of you, this could also just point to something that might have happened around the Aries full moon that we had recently. And for some of you, this could also be maybe you experience a disappointment with a goal you set for yourselves. So for example, maybe if you set a fitness goal, right, or if you wanted to kick some kind of an addiction, right, maybe you found yourselves coming up a little bit short of where you want it to be around that and having some disappointment around it. In the foundation position, we have the Queen of Pentacles. So this is Capricorn energy here, which for you guys is your house of communication. So for some of you, this could be, again, like I said, going back to the work theme potentially, right? Maybe this was around you maybe had an opportunity to discuss how you felt like you deserved more money or something like that, but for whatever reason, you couldn't actually find yourselves to actually come forward and say that, right? Or maybe there was something that you were holding on to a little bit too tightly, and because of that, you could have missed out on some other opportunities. But either way, this looks like something that you did value. You felt like it took you a long time to build up the skill or actual resource, whatever the case may be. But yeah, at the same time, you might feel that by holding on to it too tight, and again, like we said, even if it was holding on to something that you wish you would have said that you didn't, looks like there could be some disappointment around that right now. In the past position, we have the Wheel of Fortune. So this is actually Jupiter energy here, which is in Cancer. And it could just be saying that maybe you've been learning a lot of lessons recently, right? And, you know, maybe not all of them easy, but they might have really been teaching you to look at things from a different angle than you might have been accustomed to. And for this to be in a past position, you know, this does point to the fact that now, right around the 10th or 11th of November, Jupiter is actually going to start retrograde. So, you know, it could just be one of those things where you could be seeing these situations from a different angle now as the retrograde energy creeps up. All right, present energy, we have the King of Cups. So this is actually the court card for your sign. So to me, this is a good sign that even if you do go through that energy, you're feeling a little bit disappointed, seems like it'll be relatively short-lived, and you'll be back to feeling like yourselves, because this is actually the card representing your sign. So I feel like this is saying that, yeah, maybe you are going to have that brief bout of disappointment around something that you felt could have gone better, but it seems like you'll dust yourselves off fairly quickly and get back on track. In the near future position, we have Temperance. So this is actually Sagittarius energy here. And, this does make me think of the fact that your ancient ruler, which is Mars, will be moving out of your sign early in November and into Sagittarius. So if this is a situation around finances, could just be saying that as that transit plays out, you'll be able to get your footing back in that area of life if that was where your setback may have been. Timeline wise, this could also just be saying that as we get closer to Sagittarius season toward the end of November, you guys would be feeling like you've regained your balance as well. So yeah, like I said, whatever the setback is, seems like it'll be relatively short-lived, and you'll be able to put it behind you relatively quickly. All right. In the position of your influence in the situation, we have the Empress. So this is actually one of the cards I typically view as Taurus energy. We have the Venusian symbol there, and then we also have a lot of earthy themes, which makes me think of more of the Taurus side of the Venusian equation versus the Libra side, although we did see the Libra energy come up in your dice. But yeah, more than anything, I feel like this is saying, for some of you, maybe you're shifting gears, right? So maybe this is saying what that Emperor to challenge. For some of you, maybe you've been operating a little bit too heavily in the masculine energy for a while now. You're rebalancing that by embracing more of the feminine energy. So maybe being a little bit more open, more receptive, right? Which is a good energy to be in as we approach a birthday season as well. So the timing can be just right as far as that goes. All right. In the environment position, we have the Ten of Swords. So yeah, so if there is something that you've been really hard on yourselves about, could just be saying that, yeah, this will finally be the month where, like I said, yeah, it looks like you're going to be able to dust yourselves off and then get back on track this month. I do have to say, this is Gemini energy, and we've had Uranus there for quite some time, and it's actually retrograding into Taurus on the 7th of November, so it's actually going to be going back into your house of relationships. But 8th house energy could be pretty intense, as you guys know, right? That's the house you guys naturally rule, so maybe having that Uranus energy in there could have just been a little bit overwhelming. In the hopes or fears position, we have the moon. So yeah, so for some of you, maybe this is a bit of a fear, right? Where you might feel like you're not seeing the situation clearly, right? So yeah, like I said, I feel like you're definitely going to have this bout of time where you're feeling like, you're just going to be a little bit harder on yourselves about some setback you might have experienced, some disappointment that you might have experienced. But again, like I said, it seems like there's a lot of indicators that you'll be putting it behind you pretty quickly. So for some of you, this might just be a fear of, okay, it's one thing to put it behind me, but have I learned what I needed to learn to make sure I don't repeat it again, right? So that could be maybe what you're a little bit fearful of. All right, and in the outcome position, we have the Seven of Cups. And I mean, seeing this here does remind me of the fact that we will have Mercury retrograde in November, and it's actually initially going to start out in Sagittarius on the 9th of November, but 10 days later it's going to be back in the your sign, and then the retrograde will wrap up on the 29th. So roughly a 20-day period, and of course, we're already going to be starting the pre-shadow, and then the post-shadow period will go a couple weeks into December, but just seeing it, given that it's going to be coming into your sign and in these degrees of Scorpio no less too, could just be saying that as we approach the end of the month, right? Once you get behind, okay, maybe you missed an opportunity, like we said, maybe you suffered some kind of disappointment. As you move forward to what's next, right, you might find yourselves a little bit overwhelmed and not sure which way to go. And if that's the case, keep in mind that retrograde energy, as we move more towards Sagittarius season, you'll feel that energy lighten some. So that could be another indicator saying that, yeah, if you ride out the early part of the month, as we get later into the month, you'll feel like you're regaining your balance. All right, and bottom of the deck, we have the Two of Cups. So this is a positive symbol here, which to me says that you can actually find someone where you feel like you have a meeting of the minds this month. So yes, for some of you, can that be a romantic situation? Of course, right? People tend to think that first when they see this artwork. But especially for you guys, given that Cancer energy is your 9th house of philosophy, higher learning, could just be saying that you might just cross paths with someone whether it be a friendship, business partnership, you name it, where you just feel like you're meeting eye to eye, you can really communicate with them well, and you feel like you're just looking at life through the same lens. So definitely positive there. All right. From the 4 agreements deck, we have always do your best, and it says do your best because you want to. Okay, it says you do your best when you are enjoying the action or doing it in a way that will not have negative repercussions for you. You do your best because you want to do it, not because you have to do it, not because you are trying to please the judge, not because you are trying to please other people. So I would say that message for those of you, because like I said, the energy I got for some of you with this 5 of Cups energy, it could be where maybe you're being a little bit rough on yourselves, right? Maybe around a past disappointment, something that you thought was going to turn out better than it did in reality. So if that's the case, if you're just being hard on yourselves, hopefully that message resonates to help you put that behind you as well. And from the Wisdom Oracle, we have Unfinished Symphony. There's the artwork. The number is 10, which does make me think of the Wheel of Fortune card that we see in the past as well, which is a 10. So definitely could be a connection there. But see what it has to say. All right, essential meanings says unfinished business, an incomplete lesson, lack of closure, the need to make amends. The Oracle's message. This is a time to tie up loose ends as you near the completion of a cycle or project and mastery of a lesson or skill. Before you can move forward, it's important that you come to terms with where you are now. Practice radical acceptance. Take inventory so that emotional and psychological closure can occur and the answers you seek will be found. You can't move forward if you are leaving things unfinished. Reflect on what has passed so that the symphony can finally end on a high note. So yeah, definitely a positive message there. And again, like we said, definitely seems on brand for the fact that we mentioned you guys are going to have that Mercury retrograde. And while it won't initially start in your sign, it will end up in your sign about midway through the retrograde. The relationship message says, moving on is difficult when love lingers, things are left unsaid, and you haven't had the opportunity for closure in your relationship and in your heart. You can still feel bound up in relationships when closure is denied you. It's important to achieve this for yourself. Write that letter, make that call, or have that conversation over a cup of coffee. For peace of mind, accept matters as they are, make amends if need be, and declare your feelings, even if only to yourself. Be clear about what was left unresolved, and close the door in the past so you can set yourself free. Only then can new love blossom. So, definitely an interesting message there, right? So for some of you, maybe that could be what that 10 of Swords is pointing to, right? Where you finally put some past disappointment around that area of your lives to rest this month, and then that could be what brings that 2 of Cups energy into play. All right, the prosperity message says make sure you complete projects now before starting new ones. Perhaps you have created something special that will increase your sense of abundance and bring you opportunities for wealth. However, if you don't see it through, it won't add up to anything but more clutter. Now is the time to put your nose to the grindstone and complete the tasks that have accumulated. Pay your bills, sign the documents, do your filing, hand in an assignment, complete a work of art. Tie up loose ends so you can move forward with surety, knowing you're on the prosperous path and feeling refreshed and excited about the future. So yeah, definitely a positive message there as well. Like we said, especially given that you guys will have the tail end of Mars moving through your sign up until the 4th of November, and then it'll be moving into Sag, which is going to shift things more toward possession, self-worth, and finances. So hopefully that resonates with you guys. Once again, happy birthday. We'll wrap up there, and I'll see you all next month. All right, bye.